Hey everybody, I'm Joe. We're talking about the Marvel Multiverse TTRPG around here, and we are talking about the benefits of buying into an additional power set in the game. Please note that we are doing this as of Rules Update 1.3. If new rules errata or changes in the full game when it's published later this year alter what we're saying, we might need to do a video to update the topic. So one thing I have not talked about on this channel, even though I've talked about rank and powers and building characters, and I have built characters for this channel, I have not talked about how buying into a new power set in the game is supposed to grant you additional features. Typically speaking, when you get a new rank, you can purchase your way into a new power set and take 3 powers, or you can not purchase your way into a new power set and take 4. And so that seems like a pretty okay trade-off, but most of the time we're going to do fewer power sets because having more powers is cool. There's supposed to be a trade-off here, and that is that when you buy your way into a new power set, it gives you additional benefits. Let's take a look at the Blades power set. It specifically says in the playtest rulebook that when you buy into it, you get a +6 ability score cap bonus for melee and agility, and you get to decide if you are attacking using melee or agility and add that particular ability score cap to the damage dealt. Now, this just does not fit with the math of current characters, but it absolutely did in the original playtest rulebook. Take a look at the Iron Man character build in the playtest rulebook at the end, and you will see ability point modifiers between +11 and +17. But in today's game, the ability score cap is 3+ your rank. We have fewer ranks and fewer points in our point buy. And because of all of these modifications, this numbering system just does not translate over. And there's also no indication in rules updates of how we are supposed to modify it. It gets a little bit trickier because of the word "and." Each one of these power sets increases your cap of 2 different ability scores at the same time. And that might start to seem more powerful than sticking with a power set and adding another power, and we get an imbalance in your decision making. So that's a very tricky aspect of the game in and of itself. Based on other parts of the game, it's also very difficult to understand how we might modify the math. There are some modifications from the original playtest document to 1.3 that might indicate that you would take an original number and divide by 3 or 4 in order to come up with a new numbering system that would work. If we looked at the rank system, you divide by 5 and add 1. And then if you look at the shield bearer power, in the original playtest document, it did a flat 10 damage reduction, and now it does a 1 damage reduction before the multiplication is done. So there are different ways of adjusting numbers and math from playtest rulebook to 1.3. I don't have a good answer for this. I don't have a good answer for if we purchase our way into a new power set, is that supposed to be increasing the cap by 1? Or by 2, which seem to be the most reasonable numbers in today's system. And I think that we are really waiting for some clarification on this point from Marvel. It is not just increase to ability score caps that becomes problematic. The Spider Powers power set gives a flat target number 22 to break free of webbing, which doesn't allow for a difference as a character ranks and levels up. It also is a target number that's based on an old mathematical system, not on today's. And there's not an indication of how we would alter this in the power set. The one thing we can use the power sets as described in the playtest rulebook for is understanding what powers and what power sets use what ability scores to make attacks. For instance, it indicates that the energy control power set increases your cap of agility and ego, and that you would make attacks using the one of those that has the higher numerical value. It also indicates that the weather control power set uses ego to make attacks, which is very helpful in telling a player how to build a character. So how do you adjust this numbering system from the playtest rulebook to Rules Update 1.3? There's no official ruling from Marvel, as we've said, and so here's what I do in my home game. I allow for somebody to increase their ability score cap by 1 for both of the values listed. Agility and melee, for instance, in the case of martial arts, or agility and ego in the case of energy control. If somebody wanted to do a +2 to a cap for only 1 value, I would allow them to do that as well. I also use this in order to understand what ability scores are being used to make attacks with powers from various power sets. But I'm actually totally comfortable with a player coming to me and wanting to alter this. For instance, what if somebody wanted to create a character based around the synergy of the energy control power set and the cybernetics power set? Cybernetics allows for an ability score cap increase in agility and logic. Energy control allows for an ability score increase in agility and ego. But I could totally see a player coming to me and saying, I want my character to be making logic-based attacks because they built their own cybernetics suit. But these two aspects don't pair very well together, and it's asking me to make agility as my attack-based score, but I don't want to. I want to go into a tech reliance trait with my cybernetics power set, and having a high logic score makes more sense for that character. I would absolutely allow that player to increase the logic score and to make logic-based attacks, even though energy beam and energy blast are part of energy control, which asks to make your attacks using ego. I think the game needs to be flexible enough to allow for that. There isn't a ruling from Marvel on that point, but it just seems fair and reasonable to me. So that is some understanding of how I adjudicate things in my own home game with this part of the rules, but really it's something that we need to see some clarification on, and I'm starting to get the feeling that we're going to be waiting all the way until the actual publishing of the game itself later this summer, which is a little bit of a shame for those of us running a game right now. One thing I can say is that I am not utilizing the rules from adding in power sets in the character builds I'm doing on this channel, because I don't have a really official rules as written way of doing so. But now you know the way that I adjudicate it for my home games, and I hope that that's helpful to you. Anyway, that's what I've got for you today. YouTube is literally made out of buttons. I hope you press some of them, and I'll see you next time. Thanks a lot. Bye.